So that's a bit of my quantitative numbers. Are there any questions on the numbers? It's a little bit kind of, you got to work it through with your own company. Does it make sense so far? Does it?
I have a question.
Yes.
Did you do any benchmarking with those numbers across industries?
Yes, so in the actual crosstabs we have, you can see what specific industries are. In a very high level, without going into the individual industries, at least it's broken out here on this, and then it's the same thing on the crosstab. You can find out the responses by that. So we have what I'm showing you here, and you have a brochure you can get from your account manager, kind of a quick summary of the stats. But you can ask for crosstab analysis and break it down very specifically by industry. What we found is, it's interesting here that in the numbers game, process versus discrete, you would think there would be maybe greater differences. There really isn't that much difference in it's all a percentage here or there, but you can get very specific on it. So,
can I ask a dumb question from the back of the room?
no.
What's the C and C level stand for?
What they mean is, in other words, not just a first line level manager, but someone who has teams of people underneath him. So typically you refer to it as someone who's on the board or someone who's a general manager, fairly high level. Because we found that, and this is common for a challenge for Elsevier salespeople in the corporate world, that many people above the researcher or the information have no idea who we are, what our tools do, or have any clear view of the value of information tools. And I know there's a purchasing person in the room here somewhere, so I'm not going to say this purposely for them, but I heard a purchasing person one time picked up a journal and said, "This is nothing but a bunch of experiments. What's the value in this, right?" And I can see his point. They're not using it for that. And it is just a bunch of experiments. But as a librarian at Harvard told me, he said, no, it's not. It's a whole lot of knowledge contained here that you're sharing. So that's very hard to communicate to a business person. So we're trying to communicate the numbers.
Russell, the last slide that you showed, who answered those questions in the right-hand column there? Who came up with those percentages? Was that?
The people who answered the study on the right-hand column were the people who, the researcher, they were involved in R&D in some way or another. So from that very first slide, everybody who did this was involved in R&D in some way. So if you ask a researcher, using these tools, does it help me develop new products, extend patents? They would be the person to be able to say, yes, it does help me, right? So these are the things that are typically the most important in the priorities, and then this was answered by them.
Yeah. Has this been sort of tested out with somebody in the C-suite? You know,
I've made this presentation to a few people. They were actually, yeah.
Does it make the intended impact?
It does. It does. And I think there's two ways to go about this. We're glad to work with you to customize it to your industry or your company and then present it for you. But in other cases, we've just coached our contacts how to present it up and had pretty good feedback on it. Somebody in this room has tried it already. I lost where is she? From Novartis? Oh, there you are. I'm sorry, looking right at you. You tried it, didn't you? Or you, at least
I presented it, yeah.
Yeah?
Annual information board meeting.
And what was the...
I think they would want more detail in how we came up with the numbers, but since the meeting was so focused down to an hour to
Yeah.
make decisions, this would come later.
Okay.
But it was impressive at the time.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. Some of I've heard other information managers say, well, if I try to present some of the information, they're going to say, well, you're just promoting your library. So I think the detail that people would, high-level business people are typically skeptical when you're trying to give them an ROI. You've got to have some real background to it. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thomas, am I running out of time? Okay.
Take your time.
Okay. So maybe I shouldn't read through all these, but what we did was we tried to just some quick snapshots of some of the comments made, and we categorized them in the areas of reducing costs. These are some of the comments that we thought were around that area. Again, we have hundreds of these, but access to existing knowledge saves us time and money, help us benefit from other industries, innovate a way to reduce costs. So these were all about cost savings. There were some comments around how it accelerated the business process. build on existing knowledge to speed the research. Comments around keeping customers satisfied. Remember we talked about these are the kind of things that business executives care about. So keeping customers satisfied, trusting us as industry leaders, enabling innovation, again back to Rose's, develop innovative products, create new business areas, and all business managers are concerned about developing innovative products to stay ahead of the competition. Developing new businesses, and the company produces new products, and overall repercussions of these tools. We'd have lost the leading position in the market. 35% of our targets, initial targets, would not have been met. And then along the area of project development, slow introduction of new technology. Again, you can see the kind of industry. We remove the names of the companies, but you can see what kind of what kind of company they are. And then this is where I mentioned to you that we have literally hundreds of case studies that we ask them your title, your industry, your location, your revenue, your annual R&D budgets. What are you working on? How did you use these tools to solve something? Thank you. So there's hundreds of these things, and I've got a few examples up here to show you what I mean by it. So this was an engineer at a chemical company in the U.S. With an R&D budget between $1.5 million and $500 million. The problem they were facing was in the metal chemistry in a solution, metals were precipitating out of a solution, and the literature in another field helped us solve this issue. Basically, the bottom line is outcome, so far so good. Product is commercialized, and the launch is planned for the third quarter of 2010. Now, if you're a business executive and you hear that, that's music to your ears, right? Alexander's here. His group develops new products all the time. If you could say, someone tells you in your group the product is commercialized and is ready to launch, thumbs up. That's exciting. These people are giving examples of how these tools made an impact on it, and we have many of them. You can look at them by industry. You can look at them by if you want your own company information. We've captured it. We can provide that to you, but we've protected the companies that provided this information so they wouldn't share it. This is in a biotech company. They confirmed their approach was novel and that they were profitable, continue down the direction they were going. This is a computer peripheral company in India. They've saved, this is solar energy, and obviously the more efficient you can make solar cells, the better. They had about 2.5% power has been increased out of their solar cells, so great results of using these tools. And that's what you need is the qualitative information, I think. So if you take, we have a volume of these, you can get them customized to you till you make the presentation. So I think if you're going to make a presentation to senior level management, you'd want to have it customized using the tools with your account manager to your business, getting the right case studies to present as your backup to that. So here's a similar company doing the same thing. And if you're really fortunate and there's something from one of your companies in there, the actual response from one of your researchers saying, here's how it solved a problem, that's golden, right? So the 4 questions we asked was, what is the impact of these tools on achieving research objectives? 99% of the researchers agree that they helped them achieve that. In fact, they chose over 8 different ways that they selected on average. Do they improve your manufacturing processes? 9 out of 10 said that they did and gave you a number of ways to do it. And can you quantify the return on investment? And as we showed before, an average of about 15% increase in cost if you don't use, or a 15% decrease in cost if you do use these tools. And then finally, do they support the business objectives that the general managers, the CEOs, or high-level executives care about, not the research? And 7 out of 10 people said it did. So I would encourage you to get this from your account manager. The author, we have the author of this study, or the person who did this for us, Martin Akelnisto Associates, Petra, who's in the room here somewhere, has arranged for a webinar. So he'll do a much better job of explaining this in more detail. I don't know when that is.
It's on 9 December. It's actually next Thursday.
So maybe if you haven't seen the invitation out, it might be something worth seeing the actual researcher present this information, and contact your account manager. So, any other questions on this before I take any more of the time? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rusty.